Hi harmonica fans, today I'm going to show you 6 tips for playing Irish music fast. If you're into your Irish music, you're probably trying to play it faster and faster, especially those reels. So here's some ideas that might help you if you haven't already thought about it. So here's tip number 1. Very easy one, keep your harmonica clean. So it might seem pretty obvious. I'll have to admit it wasn't that obvious to me a while back, quite a few years ago, until one day it was. And I realised that there was all this gunk sometimes that builds up on the harmonica, and you've got to keep it off the cover plates so that you don't get sort of drag when you're trying to play fast. And so it's very easy to do. Just get a paper towel for a bit of water, clean the harmonica plates. Sometimes you get build up in those holes, maybe a cotton bud or something like that. You can just get in there and take some of that out. Be very careful if you do that, not to touch the reeds and do something to damage the reeds. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Have a good quality instrument. This has a direct effect on how fast you can play, I think, as a rule. And as a rule, I think you get what you pay for. So very cheap harmonicas will probably leak more air than more expensive harmonicas. And if you can get somebody to customize your harmonica and just make it really super airtight and just easy to play, they'll be the best as a rule for playing fast tunes. You don't necessarily have to have your harmonica customized, but definitely I think whatever you can afford, you should pay that money and get the best that you can. Tip number 3, memorize the tune. You can't really play these tunes that well if they're not deep in your memory. And really, Irish music is about memorized music as well. You don't want your tab in front of you. You don't want to be looking down at your tab to remember how the tune goes. That's difficult for even if you want to play slow, but it's just impossible if you want to play fast. You want to have this really deep, well memorized, intimate version of the tune in your head. And there's also different forms of memory that you should be developing as well. I teach this all in my course, Irish Harmonica Breakthrough. And I do a whole module about memorizing tunes. And anyone who's been through that course knows that I just go on and on and on about it. It's really the secret to success for playing these tunes, and especially playing them fast. So my course will be available later this year again. If you're interested in it, flick me an email, nick@harmonicaforthesoul.com. Tip number 4, play slow. It seems a bit of a contradiction. If you want to play fast, you have to play slow. What do I mean by that? It's kind of related to memory. When you're memorizing something, you want to start off playing it really slow. You're forming new neural pathways in your brain. So you want them to be good pathways. And like a pathway, you want it to be nice and clear. You don't want any obstructions. And the funny thing about it is that you can create neural pathways and memorize things that are good, but you can also create bad pathways. If you have mistakes and you embed that into your memory with into the neural pathway that you're forming, then you're just going to reproduce those mistakes even as you get faster and faster. It's not going to go away. So you want to start slow, and you want to create this nice groove, this nice neural pathway that is solid and is what you really want to play. You don't want to sort of have your mistakes getting memorized as well. And I have seen that happen. So if you start off and you want to play something fast and you're just going flat out and playing it fast and you're making mistakes and you do it over and over and over again, those mistakes can just become part of the playing, and it becomes difficult for you then to be able to correct that mistake. So start slow and just build up your speed as you go along. Tip number 5, know your harmonica intimately. What do I mean by this? My thinking on this is influenced a lot by Lee Sankey, who's a great harmonica player. And he did some research a few years back where he discovered this correlation between people who had a really strong representation of the harmonica in their head, in their mind, and how well they play it. And it seems to be the more you know about the harmonica, the better player you will be. And he actually went as far as to say, when we're playing the harmonica, because it's something that you can't really see it as you're playing it. You know, it's just something, you're imagining it as you play it. So we're playing it literally blind. And he says that what we're playing is this mental construct of the harmonica. We're not really even playing the harmonica. And he calls it the brainstrument. So you want to be able to have this really solid representation of the harmonica as you play it. Know your way around it. It's like having a map. If you don't have a map, you can't know where you're going. This is something that I'm really big on with my teaching. Anyone who's been through my course or takes private lessons from me knows that I go on a lot about the inner world, the world in your mind when you're playing. I think it's so important for playing music in general and harmonica in particular. It's not, relatively speaking, it's not that hard to learn physical techniques compared to learning about what's going on in your mind when you're playing. That's where the action takes place. That's where the success really lies, within your mind. So it's something, if you're interested, you could take my course and you'd learn a lot more about that. It's really a big part of my teaching. So last tip number 6, develop strong breath control. So there are techniques when you're playing Irish tunes where you can get better breath control. It's another thing I teach in my course. But also, I think what is really important is to be as physically fit as you can, to have as great a lung capacity as possible. So if you don't exercise, you might want to consider that. It really makes a huge difference. Now, I'll just do a disclaimer. I'm not giving you any medical advice. And I do know that most of the people that watch this channel are middle-aged to elderly. So there'll be a lot of people who aren't very fit watching this video. If you're not too confident about starting any kind of fitness regime, go and see your doctor first. But it's amazing what you can do when you just work on your fitness a bit. Even just a little bit can make a huge difference to your playing. So I do a lot of things like jogging, hill climbing. I live, right by a volcano. I used to live in the volcano. I've moved since then. You might have seen the videos where I'm in the volcano. I'm on the other side of the hill now, and I just live just at the bottom of the volcano, so I can go running up it whenever I want. I can go jogging around the streets, things like that. it doesn't have to be that extreme if you want to get fitness. If you just exercise some of your muscles, particularly your legs, because they're the biggest ones, do some squats, do a few squats, and you might want to hold your balance if you're doing that, if you're not too steady on your legs. But even just a few squats, exercising those big muscles are going to get your heart pumping. It's going to get your lungs working. You're going to start bringing in air and develop that larger lung capacity. And I really notice it if I haven't done anything for a few weeks. I injured myself recently, my toe. I stubbed my toe. I couldn't go running for 6 weeks, and my fitness level dropped. And it took a little bit, after the 6 weeks or so, to get it back again. But yeah, you really notice it when it drops, and you really notice it when you put the work in, and then you pick up the harmonica. You just seem to have this control over what you're doing. So that's tip number 6, develop stronger breath control. So I hope these tips have been useful. Leave us a comment, let me know what you think. You might have some other tips too. Put them in the comments and let's share it about. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe to this channel too if you haven't already. And it all helps to tell the algorithm who to send this video out to, other people out there who could do with hearing this message. So, until next time, bye for now.